Hello, this is Pastor Don and Donna Long, once again with Grafted In, and we're in the middle of talking about an upcoming trip that we're going to have to Israel. Yes. We go, how often, Donna?
We go once a year. Hopefully in the future it will be a lot more than that, but for now it's once a year.
And our upcoming trip, and you're invited to join us with that trip if you want to. And
so it'll be a trip of a lifetime.
It will, and
change your life.
There will be you can write us at the email address on the screen or contact us by calling the church and get actual detailed information about costs and so forth.
Yes.
But this year we're going from June 3rd to the 19th, and last week we shared about the first 5 days we will spend in Israel, which will be in the Shomron, what the world calls the West Bank,
yes.
Staying at the beautiful Eshel HaShomron, yes. And then getting out into the communities and getting to meet the people who are living in those communities, the Jewish people, their families, delightful people, recovering to us some of the biblical history of Abraham, but getting face to face with people that the world really doesn't understand, and good families making an honest living in the mountains of Samaria that somehow the world thinks shouldn't be living there.
That's right.
After our 5 days there, then this year we will be headed to Jerusalem.
That's right.
And going to Jerusalem is always an exciting thing, Donna,
yes.
right?
Yes, it is. Going up to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the center, actually.
And usually we come down along the Jordan River and make our way from the Jordan River up the mountains up to Jerusalem. Jerusalem sits up in a hillside.
Yes, they have so many songs. Come, let us go up to the mountains of the Lord.
That's right.
You know, it's like there it is. It's sitting right on a mountain.
So when
Mount Moriah.
When you think of the scriptures that talk about coming up, we get a real sense of that by the way we enter Jerusalem,
yes.
by coming from the Jordan River just above the Dead Sea, and then coming up into Jerusalem, and that's always an exciting time. And this year we will be staying at the Prima Royale, wonderful hotel which is within walking distance of the old city.
Yes.
And of the Western Wall. Tell us about the old city, Don.
Well, the old city, it has the Jewish quarters, it has the Christian quarters, it has the Muslim quarters, it has all that. But it's an interesting thing that they've kept it in the nature in which it was first built. And as we go through, there's all kinds of shops that sell wares. It's just a plethora of livelihood and everybody selling and falafels.
Don't we love our falafels?
We love them. But I think that's an exciting thing, all the shopping and all that, and to go through, of course, our Udi Mariot, which you can see the picture behind us, is one of his works. But besides that, what you have there is the wall. The Western Wall. You have
So what is the Western Wall?
The Western Wall is the closest place that the Jews can now get to where the original temple stood before it was destroyed.
So the original temple sat on top of Mount Moriah.
Yes.
And over the history, when the Jews were expelled by the Romans, of course, they tore down the temple, utterly destroyed it. And there was nothing there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And then the Crusaders came in and they built, there was a little mosque there, and then they turned it into a Christian church. And then with the great rise of Islam in the Middle East, they conquered all of the Middle East, and they built a mosque up on Mount Moriah, and then the Dome of the Rock.
That's the Dome of the Rock. That's what you see.
The Dome of the Rock is what people see today, and that sits where God's temple was.
That's right.
And by the way, where the Bible says there will, in the future, during the millennium, there will be the third temple, and that will sit on that place.
Yes, it will.
And so in Jerusalem, historically, the Muslims had controlled it, and then Jerusalem became divided by the United Nations when Israel was declared a state. The Jordanians controlled half of Jerusalem, and the half they controlled, they destroyed everything. They destroyed all the synagogues. The Jews actually were not allowed to go to the Western Wall.
That's right.
That would be like if the Muslims took over Rome in Italy,
And not allow anybody to go to the
would not
Vatican.
allow any Catholics to ever go to the Vatican.
At all. And our guide from last year, remember, he was telling us about
Right.
that. He can remember as a child growing up and could not go to that wall.
That's right. He
remembers when they were allowed to.
That's right. So he was a little boy, and think about it, the holiest place to the Jew was
right.
Temple Mount, and they were forbidden to go there. The Muslims wouldn't let them go there. And in the 1967 war, when all the nations surrounding Israel said, we're going to destroy you, we're going to obliterate you, instead Israel won that war, and what they regained was Jerusalem.
Yes.
And what a powerful time when those first Israeli troops broke through and were able to get to the Western Wall.
That's right.
Well, what happened now was Jerusalem, after that, got divided into 4 quarters in the old city, not the whole city itself, but in the city. And so in the city, there's the Armenian quarter, there's the Muslim quarter, the Christian quarter, and the Jewish quarter. It's a mistake to call them quarters, by the way, because the Muslim quarter is far bigger than a quarter.
That's right, it sure is.
They have about a third of the old city.
That's right.
But the Jews took from the Western Wall and cleared out the plaza in front of it. There were just houses and shops there. They cleared it all out so that Jewish people and Christians could have access to the Western Wall. And the Western Wall is really, it's not the temple.
No, it's not.
But it is the
It's
wall.
an outer wall. It was the outer walls of the city, actually. It wasn't actually the wall of the
It was the
temple.
wall of the plaza.
Of the plaza, right.
So Temple Mount, King Herod built it up, and he had to make a level plaza, so he leveled the top of the mountain, and that is one of the retaining walls.
Yes.
But when you come with us,
Yes.
not only will you get to see the Western Wall at that level of the plaza,
But we go through the tunnels.
but we go through the tunnels. What's that about?
The tunnels have been dug over, I don't know how many, I'm not sure when that started and all that, but it brings you all down into, I mean, you see amazing things. Now, as we're going through these tunnels, you go by a place where you will find Jewish women, and maybe some Christians too, but Jewish women praying.
Because
that is the closest to the Holy of Holies
Right.
that was in the temple. It's lining up with it through that wall that they're praying by. It was behind that wall.
So they dug out these tunnels along the base
That's right.
of the original wall.
Yep.
So when you go down in the tunnel, you're actually walking
You're underneath that.
along these massive foundation stones that people can't comprehend.
No,
how did they even get
got
them in
there.
place? And you walk along the whole base of the tunnel. It's just a thrill.
It's just
And
amazing.
of course, as they've
You
excavated,
see aqueducts and
Yep.
a water system. You see all kinds of things under there. It's amazing. And it seems like every several years, they've uncovered something more for us to see.
and all that they uncover under there is artifacts of the
From the-
Jewish
the
time
temple.
to prove that despite what the Muslims want to say, that there were no Jews there. I mean, we all know that's not true.
That's
We
not
know
true.
it was
That's
God's
right.
place and God's people, but the evidence is there.
Yes,
and
it is.
speaking about finding evidence there, the Muslims on their side of Temple Mount, and they control all of the top
top
of it.
part of it,
They don't
yes.
let Jews up there.
don't let Jews up there.
And they control the top of it. And that was allowed by the Israeli government, frankly, as a concession, because if Israel took the top of the Temple Mount, there probably would have been a worldwide war started by the Muslims. But the Muslims have excavated underneath Temple Mount,
Yes.
and actually have constructed an underground sanctuary, meeting place that can seat several thousand people.
Thousands of people.
But in the midst of excavating under there,
right.
they found all kinds of
artifacts.
pottery and jewelry and evidence of the Jews.
Of the temple.
And so they tried to carry this stuff off into
night.
at night into
At
massive
night.
dumps.
Massive truckloads of it going out.
And one of the
So they
things
were destroying
Right.
history, is what they were destroying.
And some Jewish students actually found they were doing this, were able to get some things to stop them. But these students then now had a thing where they formed an organization that goes into these dumps and brings all this stuff out, but now you got to sort through it.
because it's got all the rubble of everything in
Right,
it now.
and it's called Temple Mount Antiquities Salvage Operation.
Yes.
And I can guarantee you that you could pick one out of 100 tours going to Israel this next year and never see what you're going to see with us.
That's right.
Because we're going to take you to the Temple Mount Antiquities salvage operation and spend a couple of hours
sifting through
the rubble
earth that was there at the temple time.
And what did you find when you were there?
I found mother of pearl. They said that that's a very rare find. I was very honored as a mom. I'm the mom, so I found mother of pearl. We found some glass from the first temple period. Little glass beads from the first temple period. Right. I'm not sure what others found things in some of, because we were all in different groups having our different bins that we were
So we break up
through.
about 2 of us at a time, and you're seeing this on the screen now, some pictures of this as we sifted and washed and looked for things, and then we'd find them and put them in there. And at the end of our 2-hour there, the
tiles, we found some
tile pieces.
Mosaic tiles.
Remember, he gathered all our pieces together,
yes,
and then he showed us what we had found and what our 2 hours had contributed
That's right.
Toward the recovery of the artifacts.
Yes.
And you'll get your hands in ancient Jewish history.
And they even let you take some of the dirt home with you.
Yeah, you can't take the artifacts.
You can't take the artifacts, but you can take some of the dirt, and that was way back in First Temple period time.
Absolutely
it's like amazing.
And so when we're in Jerusalem, we have an investment in history. We go up on the ramparts wall and walk around the wall. Again, many tours just don't take the time to do that, but we think it's an awesome view of it.
Yes.
But we also have time to get involved in the neighborhoods.
Yes, we do.
And we usually start one morning. Actually, we usually do this Friday morning before Shabbat.
Yes.
We go to the Yehuda marketplace.
Yes. That's right.
And this is where all the people in Jerusalem, it's the most famous market, and it covers maybe 2-3 blocks. And you go in there, and there's everything imaginable.
Oh my goodness,
Every
the
kind
colorfulness of that place is amazing.
It is.
The produce is just excellent.
And this is how the Israelis buy their food in Jerusalem on a regular basis. But we'll buy some goodies for ourselves to have for Shabbat. And again, tours don't do that. Every time we've had a new guide, he says, "You want to do what?" And we said, "We want to have a couple hours first thing in the morning to go down to the market, and then we spend some time in the neighborhoods around the market, just finding out what the people are like, what it was like to live in there, so that we're really getting in touch with the people in the neighborhoods of Jerusalem. We'll also get to see the Jerusalem model.
Yes. That's very lifelike. I mean, really. I mean, it's so exact.
It's a picture or a model of Jerusalem in the time of Jesus.
In the time of Yeshua. That's right.
Absolutely amazing, and that's a hit for everyone that goes with us. While we're in Jerusalem, we also then go to some places just outside of Jerusalem. We'll be going to Hebron.
Hebron, yes.
Hebron is where Sarah was buried.
That's right.
Abraham and Sarah.
Abraham and Sarah, that's right. That's where he bought the land and paid for it.
That's right.
That's right. It's recorded. It's recorded in the Word. They didn't take the land; they bought it. They owned that land.
Right. Hebron, as a city, is predominantly Muslim, but in the center is the Jewish part of Hebron. And we'll go there, and we'll probably have someone like David Wilder showing us around. Yes. David is just a great guide and tells us all the history that took place back then. We get to actually go into the place the synagogue that's there.
Yes.
It's a delightful time. In fact, this year we plan to spend maybe half an hour in the community synagogue there.
Yes, the community synagogue.
The spiritual feeling of being there is, again, it's a portal. It's a place where God, throughout history, has said, "I will be there."
It's holy ground.
We get to step into that place.
Yes.
And then we go to Gush Etzion.
Gush Etzion, yes.
Where there was a historic stand of Jews defending their right to the land. Just the history of the Middle East for Israel.
Yeah, they give a pretty dynamic presentation there, video.
That's right.
Yeah, that is quite amazing. I won't tell you about it because if you come, I don't want to spoil it for you. It's a dramatic ending to this video.
And again, remember, if you want to come, last week we talked about the Shamron. This week we're talking about Jerusalem. Next week we're going to be talking about the Sea of Galilee and our time up there. But if you'd like to join us for the tour this year, again, it is June 3rd through June 19th. And you can email us at the email address on the screen, or you can call us at the phone number here at the church, and we can send you a brochure in all the information about going. You know, people ask Donna if it's safe to be there. How old was Jordan when she first came with us?
9. She was 9. The very first time she went there, she was 9 years
And
old.
this year we're going to have, how young?
We are going to have a 2-month-old.
That's right.
And a 2-year-old, and how old is he? 9-year-old. You know what? The safest place to be is in the center of God's will.
That's right.
And this is his land, and there is absolutely no way that he would not want you to be going there.
So it's a
He'll
great
protect
time.
you.
We always feel safe when we go. I mean, it's a delightful
Yes,
place to
he
be.
protects you.
And we could fill up hours and hours talking about it, but unfortunately,
We're out of time.
our time's run out for today. So this is Pastor Don and Donna Long. Join us again for Grafted In.